Hey everybody, this is Spencer Jones with Tread Corporation, and today we're going to be talking about the Treadbed pumper. Now, something to keep in mind, in the last video we talked about a re-pumper. The biggest difference between the pumper that we're going to talk about today and the re-pumper from the last video is that this truck is going to have a full gassing system. So it'll have a gas pump, it'll have a gas tank, it'll have gassing injection on the pressure pipe. So keep that in mind while we're going through. Also, this truck has a lot of customizable options. So this is going to be a great kind of example of the customization that we can do here at Tread to fit your guys' needs as we go forward. So starting on the front driver's side, first we have our emergency push button for the onboard fire suppression. You push this button and it'll puncture a canister that will start the onboard fire suppression to help put out any kind of fire on the engine underneath the hood. We're going to show you those injection points a little bit later in the video. Another piece of customization, normally on pumpers you'll see a rear 180 hose reel. This time the customer decided to go with a narrow front hose reel. Right now it's currently equipped with a 2-inch hose. Come a little bit farther down, we have the ladder section. Now, you see I said ladder. That's traditionally what we have on here. The customer decided to go with a full staircase. It will, when it gets to site, have handrails on both sides. We had to leave them off because this truck is going internationally. So we try to keep parts that are easily removable or easily damaged off the truck. That way they stay in good shape when they reach their final destination. Come over here, you have your standard emergency air shutoff valve. This is what's going to close your DOT tanks in case of emergency. It kills all the air to the truck. MIDI box, this is your electrical disconnect. It has your fuses, it has your electrical shut off here, so that way you can kill power to the truck whenever you're done using the control system or you're traveling around site or on the highway. Danfoss proportional hydraulic valve bank, standard for this kind of truck here. And then if you come below here, we have our water tank that's mounted on the truck frame. Again, this is another option that we have for our units. This is something you can talk to your tread rep about. This can also be affected by axle layout, axle load, and a couple other small factors. And if you come down here, you can actually see that the water pump is part of the supporting frame for the water tank. It's a 3-piston general pump with your IFM flow meter as well. If we come down this way, you have your IO box. This is your input-output box for your control system. This is where your CAN modules are. It's kind of the brain of the control system. Come a little bit farther down, you have your ACS box. This is where the solenoids for all of your air-operated systems are, as well as your switches to open each tank. You don't have to open both at once. You can just do one tank and then another. All depends on what your shop calls for on that day. Come a little bit farther down, you have your hydraulic cooler. Right next to it is your LED floodlights, which you can see we've got 2 on each side. Super, super bright. I've had to work by those LED lights a few times when I was out in field service. And then if you want to zoom out a little bit here, you can actually see we have a different style of fender than what you saw on the mini pumper. Again, this is just another example of the customization that we can do here. Come over here, you have your mount for a 20-pound fire extinguisher. Again, we leave this off because it's going to be shipping international. We don't want it to get shaken loose in transport, so we store that separately. Standard DOT placards, holder for your wheel chock. Again, it's in storage so it doesn't fall off. Then we come around the back here, standard tread bumper. We do have options for pintle hook bumpers. Again, that's something to talk to your tread rep about. Now, this is that gassing system I was telling you about. Similarly to the re-pump, we put this tank inside the frame, but it's still just your standard gas tank. You can look underneath here, you have your 3-piston general pump as well. Same IFM flow meter. Fun thing about these IFM flow meters, they don't require calibration. These things are calibrated in a lab by people with college degrees that I probably couldn't even spell. You got 2 more floodlights up there at the top if you can see it. When we come around to the passenger side, you can see we have another emergency button for the onboard fire suppression, another holder for the wheel chocks. Come down this way, this is where your second 20-pound fire extinguisher would be. Now, this is the bread and butter of the pumper. It's equipped with a mono XO 73 pump. They also went with the option for the emulsion upload. This will allow you to fill both of your emulsion tanks on the ground rather than having to drive under a silo. Biggest thing is you want to make sure your DOT valves are open. This fills the tanks from the bottom, pushing everything up, so keep that in mind. Now, this has a maximum pump rate of 1,100 pounds a minute and a minimum of 550 pounds a minute. Now, if you come look under the fender here, you'll notice 2 things. You have your high pressure and your low pressure hydraulic filters. And then you also have your hydraulic tank. Now, because of the layout, we ended up putting this on the chassis frame, and it looks a little bit different than our regular hydraulic tanks. If you come over here, you can see that this is actually a pressurized hydraulic tank. So if you're in high elevations where your atmospheric pressure is lower than if you were closer to sea level, this is what's gonna help make sure that your pump has a healthy feed of hydraulic oil. That way there's less cavitation, less chance for damage, and it's very beneficial. Up here, we have our pressure pipe. Now again, good example of the customability and the manufacturing ability that we have here at Tread. This was made specifically so that way the product pump can meet up with the front hose reel. So remember I mentioned normally they have a rear 180. So traditionally this pump would have been turned 180 degrees, everything been running that way. And then you can see we have our standard Pump Pro sensors, temp, pressure, and flow. Standard burst disc as a mechanical fail-safe as well. Coming up to an isolation ball valve up here. Now this is mostly used for blowdowns. So at the end of the day when the shot's over with, they'll close this ball valve, and if you come over here, and you see in that little group there where your water ring is, you also have an air line. That's for your blowdown. If you close that ball valve and you start blowing air down into the hose, that emulsion has nowhere else to go but out the end of the hose. And that is connected to your water ring. That's the lubrication for your hosing. What it does is it makes a water jacket around the product, so that way you have lower pumping pressure and you can pump at higher speeds while you're going out through the job. Now this is the main canister for that onboard fire suppression. This is what's gonna kill the fire that's in your engine bay. Now if you come around this way, we can show you that. Did that with my left hand, super strong. So on the passenger side, you can see you have one nozzle here, and that looks like it's facing more towards the turbo. You've got two nozzles over here, one here in the very corner, and one kind of tucked up in there. And again, this is just for any kind of engine fire that may happen. None of these nozzles are pointed at the body, at the pump, anything like that. This is more for chassis protection. So moving on to the top of the truck, you can see at the top of the staircase you have a small turnaround platform. Again, remember that these will all have fixed handrails on the side of it. They're just not installed right now for shipping purposes. On top of the ladder, you have two walkways, one on the driver's side, one on the passenger side. Each of these 8-foot tanks has one manhole on each tank and then one blanked manhole cover on the other side. These are fixed handrails, so they cannot go up and down. There's no rear access. The only access to the top of this truck is at the front. On top of the truck, you'll also see a set of D-rings, one on the front rollover and one in the middle rollover. These are for attachment points for your harness if you're ever up there working or filling the tank underneath the silo.
So inside the cab, we see the HMI or user interface for the control system. Now with this truck having a front hose reel, this allows us to put this inside of the cab, whereas if you had a 180-degree rear hose reel, it would traditionally be put on the back end of the driver's side, so that way the operator can see the hose reel and see the operator using it. For this user interface, you'll see you have your main console, which has your power button, your e-stop, your 3-axis joystick, and the encoder, and then the dash mounted screen. The benefit of Axiom on a pumper is that it can store up to 12 formulas. So if you have different gassing rates, you can get a different density inside the hole, or you can modify your formula for certain emulsion temperatures. It gives you the option to store those, so that way you can just quickly access your formulas, pick the one you want to run for the day, and then just get on with the shop. With Spartan, you would have to change that formula on the fly each and every day. Also with Axiom, it gives you the option of the HPA, the high pressure assist, as well as the ABF, the anti-booster float, with the control system.
So on this unit, we covered the options of the emulsion upload, the pressurized hydraulic tank, the onboard fire suppression, and the LED floodlights. A couple other options would be a cold weather package, a spare parts package, a tread commissioned unit, IMEs and drum boxes, and a couple other options that you can go over with your tread rep when you call in and configure your truck. That's our review of this Treadbed pumper. We're gonna try to get a couple more videos of the other style trucks that we have, an Ampho, a blend, a quad, just so you guys can get a good general understanding of the kind of trucks that we produce here at Tread. So thanks for joining. If you have any questions, our Q&A link will be somewhere around this video, so you can just shoot us there, or you can contact our tread rep, you can contact me. All of us here will be happy to help you, and thanks for watching.